What's up, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo of SEScoops.com and several other outlets, whatever. But I am live here today on the Rob's YouTube channel, RVD's YouTube channel. And guess who is here for episode 33? It is Rob Van Dam. Rob,
Dude.
how are you, my dude?
Man, that is always the safe guess. I noticed like the last 3 weeks in a row, that's the line is guess who's here. Guess who's come to dinner.
Guess who's come to dinner.
Yeah, man. Almost New Year's Eve, which is also Katie's birthday.
Really?
Yes, sir. You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, every year. So my birthday is 1 week before Christmas, then there's Christmas, then 1 week later is Katie's birthday. And now that we have D here, Katie is 2 weeks after me, and then D's birthday is 2 weeks after Katie's. It just doesn't stop.
It keeps going.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
Festive season.
Are you guys the same zodiac sign or whatever it is?
No. I guess I don't know where the cutoffs are, but they're between us.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I'm Sagittarius, and I don't know what she is. She's something else. They both are, I guess. Capricorn, maybe, but I don't put no money on that. Look it up. Ask Google or Siri or someone with credibility like them two.
I won't make any bets on it. So hey, maybe we can figure out what our special guest zodiac sign is here coming up. Rob.
Yeah, man. So I called my friend or texted him from Back Row Studios, movie creator extraordinaire and co-creator of the hit classic documentary Headstrong, Joseph Clarke. Joseph Clarke Buttafuoco.
That's the best intro I've ever received in my life.
Hey, good, man. I was aiming high. I do everything high.
You hit it. Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it. Fan of the pod.
Thanks for joining us.
What's your birth sign, man?
Yeah, what's your sign?
I'm a Taurus, bro. I'm a Taurus.
Okay. Is that April? April, May?
April, May. That means I'm stubborn. That's what the girls on Bumble tell me anyway.
You're stubborn.
Hey, is that the platform that we have our show on? Oh, that was Rumble. Never mind.
Oh yeah, we're on Rumble too.
That's different, right?
Yeah, that's completely different.
Bumble would be a good platform to broadcast this on, though.
Let's do it, Joe. Help us out, man, because right now we have 32 subscribers, and half of them watch, and then half watch later. So there's 16 people.
Dogs or cats watching instead too.
But they're important people. I mean, when I get the messages and they say, dude, thank you for what you do, for being so honest. Especially like last week, we did a pretty heavy, man, I already put a filter in, and that's why I can't shake the weed out to put the filter in. There's already a filter in there. Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. But we talked about some heavy shit last week we talked about mental health.
I watched that.
You got to watch it, you said?
Oh, he watched it.
Oh, you did watch it. So I the feedback I get from that, just like, I don't even know how you could weigh something like that. It means a lot just to have people that tell me, hey, I really needed to hear that. I didn't know I needed to hear it, but or whatever, just knowing that and that's why, like I said, when I started that, it's like, sometimes when you can say something and maybe it could help somebody else, you just do it. So that's really rewarding. And I talked about last week, got pretty personal, talked about, fucking antidepressants, and
did you going in that you were going to discuss that or get that personal or go that deep, or did it just kind of happen?
I honestly don't remember, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways on the show,
Mm-hmm.
Like I have an idea of what I want to talk about tonight, and it's actually and it's related to this, people, and I just sent a tweet also that said to anyone that's struggling, this virtual strength is for you with some biceps. Whoa,
damn, dude,
what the fuck, bro? But anyway, people saying that they're struggling, and some of them got descriptive about what their situation is, and it's like, dude, it's obvious that a lot of other people are struggling, going through dark times, and it seems to help just to know that you're not alone, because it's something that you feel very alone with when you're going through it, because people don't seem to understand around you, but there are people that are out there, whether they're right next to you or not,
And did you plan for the podcast to kind of be a platform for that openness, or has it just evolved as just an outlet for that?
Well, I was doing the RVDologies on my YouTube anyway, and then I think it was just natural to maybe do a short version of it on here. I can't really remember.
You wanted to incorporate it early on, right?
Okay, yeah, because but that is me. I mean, people come to me for advice. I mean, lots of times, all the time, and and by the way, R.I.P. Petri, cancer overtook her.
Well, I'm sorry to hear. What day was that? Did it happen?
So emotions have been all over the place. So that's another reason, to connect with people that are also going through times like, man, especially around the holidays, because you see everyone else is like so happy, and you feel like, man, how come I'm not happy like that? Or like I said before, the days are darker, and they're colder, and they're fucking. Yeah, we miss Petri, so that one's heavy, but
well, I'm really glad.
I've said always, I find holidays to be disruptive, personally, I kind of like the routine of what's going on and shit. But I wanted to mention that about Petri. Barbie's running around a little confused, but so far it's just her now here. She'll probably make the show. Oh, she's sleeping right now. But so yeah, so like there's watch it on YouTube. I get on YouTube and I'm looking at the fucking the local news and shit. And so check this out. There's a two brothers. One of them's 14 years old. The other one I think is 16 or 15. I don't know. And they're fighting over a fucking Christmas gift. The mom spent more on this guy than this guy. And they're fighting over it. And then the sister, who's an adult, clearly she comes in. She's trying to break it up. The 14-year-old shoots the sister. And then the other brother shoots the 14-year-old.
I heard about this story.
Oh, my God, dude.
Right?
Man, there's so much grief, for everyone to deal with. And then there's shit like that. And then you probably also saw the murder-suicide that guy, I think he was an ex-cop, and it was his wife. And someone else, some other lady, could have been her mom. I don't know. But it's just, like that's one formula that I like to use whenever I'm feeling bad and I need to kick out is I always try to remind myself, man, it could always be worse, and if you can't imagine it being worse, then you're pretty fucked, because you could be knee deep in fucking hot lava with fucking Satan poking his pitchfork up your asshole.
Well, Rob, I was gonna ask you, I know you were kind of going through it, and I apologize to hear about Petri. She was an awesome dog and everything, but you told me the other night you were going to go see the Iron Claw, and I was like, well, in a weird, bizarre way, like that actually might not be the worst thing, because like that's such a depressing story that it might like get some perspective for Rob. But do you want to share what you kind of felt about the movie at all? Not to I'm like playing dumb. I'm genuinely curious about your.
I wasn't because I don't want to be rude to the movie makers, but I walked out.
Really?
So I wasn't going to say that because I'll give it another try, but it was too depressing. At that time, I wasn't in the right state of mind to watch it. And like after the second brother died, I was like, yeah, all right, I got it. But up till that point, first off, Zac fucking Efron, huge. It was so fucking jacked. And they did a good job, acting or whatever. I thought like you had to be a big wrestling fan or else you wouldn't understand any of it. It just seemed to move so fast from well-known shows to cameos. actors, playing the cameos of well-known wrestlers, and I just thought like wow, like I'm gonna see this typed out. Like wow, like somehow that's gonna be in my transcript. I see that like in the shorts, like it'll write
yeah,
out.
the shorts do that.
I was like, wow, man, like wow, I couldn't. Anyway, I thought that it moved really fast and it would have been challenging for people to understand. It was kind of challenging for me to understand it because I was still waiting. But again, I'm gonna give it another chance. So I don't want to, put any negative energy out there.
At the what'd you think, Chavo as the Shishi?
I didn't even see that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I understand that though, especially what you're going through at the moment. It's like compounding on top of it. It's like it's a lot. Joe, what did you think of that?
Everyone's going through some shit though, so I don't want to dwell on that, but we will get back to some hopefully advice I can give some other people that, just like always.
From an outsider standpoint, it was kind of interesting because I'm in Vegas for a little bit and I got here a couple weeks ago and Rob told me that Petri was pretty sick and we kind of had this impromptu ceremonious goodbye to her with like some of Rob's close friends, and it was kind of this beautiful night where we got
all Petri's close friends.
Really cool exchange, and it was a really powerful moment in a lot of ways, and like it put some perspective of where I'm at in my life, and so really sad situation overall, but I thought that night was really cool to share that.
I did too. And so we did that because the emergency room had told us to expect about 2 days. And that was like 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving. And she made it, until just I guess December 23rd. So we got a lot of extra time out of her. And then, it wasn't keeping her alive while she was, suffering so bad that it was torturous. She was still like Katie was in Australia when the vet gave us that news. And then, when Katie came back, Petri perked up, like she had stopped eating. She started eating again and stuff, and then slowly declined from there to the point, where we had to say goodbye. It's a really rough thing to do. But it's kind of like when my dad went, it's, just knowing that their body was so sick and had given out, they were ready to go. There's a lot of comfort to that over someone young getting their life stolen, robbed from them,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's always tough though. Yeah. I'm Rob. I was really sorry to hear it too. And, it's never easy, no matter how old the pet is or anything like that too. It's tough to deal with.
but speaking of that thing back there, bro, I had a birthday a couple of weeks ago and I posted my pictures up on Instagram. And it was one of those posts where I just got like way more feedback than I normally do, and from a lot of people too. And everyone put it over like, wow, show us the photos, Dom. Can you?
All right. Yeah, I can show it. Chris, if I'll do it for now.
Chris.
But YouTube Chris is helping us out today too. He's
okay.
But
yeah. So anyway, every year, couple days. I guess there.
Look at that. You got your legs here too, Rob. The quads, leg day. You don't miss leg day.
Genetically, my legs are way ahead of the rest of my body. So I'm just very fortunate there because. I try to spend more time on the rest because I have to, to try to get the rest to catch up or whatever. So I actually don't like do leg days as often as people would think, but I do work on just, like doing steps on boxes on, box steps all the time. I do a lot of that shit, but anyway.
Also that picture of me and Rob just photoshopped his face on it.
Yeah.
Joe, that was you. How about that?
Yeah. Someone asked me about carb deleting before the photos or whatever. I don't know how to do any of that. I don't even know how to pose, which people probably think is funny. They probably think everybody that works out in the gym knows how to pose, but a bodybuilder, Brian Cage, will tell you there's certain ways to pose and angles and different. Anyway, that's something that like we're not all the same, man. And I'm not a meathead in that way. Like I said before, you could take the mirrors out of my house. I'd be okay with that. Katie, on the other hand, I don't think she would. I don't think she'd go with that. She likes to spend a lot of time, but I would too if I looked like her. I'd be
right. Well, Lena asked, I just did leg day today. How many times a week do you do leg day, Rob?
Honestly, so counting, I do the Bob Backlund 300 rep box steps in my sauna. And that blows my legs up. It's like up, up step, down step, up step, down step, left, down, left. And anyway, but I'll run it. I control the speed, change it, however I want to put into it. And that has made my legs like really vascular. And that's mostly what I do. And I do actual like legs probably, and this has been for years, probably like once every 3 months.
Really?
Not on purpose. It's just it's what I put off. It's what I put off because I can, because my legs are jacked and strong. And so like I used to do the other body parts twice for every one time I would do legs. And that's how I learned to lift and, was learning to power lift and add all the weight on, and used to squat 405 for 12 reps once every week in the gym. And then just, like eventually when I got to skip a day because I'm traveling or whatever, it would always be legs. And so it still is, like I get to where I'm like, man, I got to do legs pretty soon. But I might say that for weeks until I actually get in there and do it. But again, I do the, or kicking or maybe on the treadmill or whatever, that all keeps my legs busy. If I could walk on my hands all day, my arms would be thick as fuck too.
Right. You got the pump.
Yeah.
I want to do a sauna workout with you, Rob. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. It's way more intense than the gym for me now. Like that's I usually do that afterwards. I'll lift weights, do abs, whatever. Today I hit did some punches and kicks on my Nexorcist. The fucking thing is still working. I can't believe it's still working. But anyway, then I went out to the sauna and man, just like really like going fast as I could. 120-degree weather. Was making myself almost throw up today. Not weather, but inside. It's 120 degrees. If you pour water on the rocks, then of course your skin burns and it hurts to breathe in. And but overall, I love it, and I'm sweating. Before my matches, I will go in there and stretch in the sauna as well. At least I started doing that the last 1 or 2 matches, and it's a little different because normally the floor is too dirty for me to want to do that. But I'll clean it up and throw some towels down when I got a match coming up.
Are you doing any music in the background, or are you just going?
No, I don't need music.
He doesn't do music. He don't do music. VBDC, Venus Beach Dub Club. Thank you for the $20. He said, I just want to say RVDology has been making me a cooler dude since the RVD TV days.
Awesome.
A year later, I found the Stoics and the Hermetic philosophers and was like, hey, I've heard of this before from RVD. You think you're just sensitive to it?
What is that? Sensitive to it? I'm not really sure how to take that question.
VBDC, if you want to just chime in again, you don't have to pay again. Obviously, just we'll put your
watch for his comment because I'm not really sure what he means. Am I I'm sensitive to everything. I'm energy sensitive. So I notice things, but I don't think that's what he's asking. But Joe and I did the documentary Headstrong, which if you haven't seen it, we did everything together, and I'm quite proud of the movie. And it was going to be about me on a stand-up comedy tour, but the concussion symptoms that I had kind of like took over, and it became a lot more about that. And really just that slice of my life that was going on like in 2016, 17, maybe part of 18. I don't know. But anyway, me and Joe are always trying to. Well, Joe's got several other movies that he's done, and you can talk about those, Joe. But we always talk about projects like that. Let's work together and do something. And this Venice Beach dub club that just came up. Some synchronicity here because I wanted to ask you, Joe, because we're always talking about finding something. And we got ideas and stuff. And I know you wanted to talk off camera about your recent idea, but I thought of this. What if I told you that there was a documentary that I worked on years ago that's like 90 to 95% done? It's badass. It never quite got finished. And it's about the only marijuana dispensary ever on Venice Beach. My friend, he's got everything recorded. Him looking for locations way back before I even met him, and then him opening up, and it's right by the Venice Beach gym. And it's that big building. It used to be blue, now it's orange, but that was the Medical Kush Beach Club. And then he had a second location that was down the ways a little bit, and he owned the fucking boardwalk, and that was my hangout for a couple of years anyway. 2010, 2011, 2009. A lot of times anyway, I would ride my bike down there, and then I would be smoking, looking out the window over the gym and at the beach. We would go walk down to the other location, do the same thing, watch the sun go down. We actually had a reality show that we were pitching for a while. We pitched it to Showtime, I think MTV, and it was Jason Hervey and Eric Bischoff were producers on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still got the trailer actually for it. But they made Bashan, the owner, my friend, the reason the movie never got finished. He's a little crazy. And Herbie wanted to capitalize on that to the extent to where it really didn't look good. Like it wouldn't have been a responsible representation of the marijuana business. And looking at the big picture, I see that now because he was always about controversy sells, and conflict. And it's like, yeah, I know, but we got so much cool stuff going on because, there'd be famous people come in there. And he had the dab bar, like an actual bar where everyone's doing dabs and stuff. And anyway, I've just been thinking about this, and I was just thinking today, Joe, I wonder if I talked to Sean Cushionator. He also did my music, by the way.
Yeah. He has Headstrong music, doesn't he, there?
Yeah, he did a lot of the soundtrack in Headstrong, too, yeah. I was thinking, I wonder, since no one's doing anything with it, I wonder if he would let me have that to finish it.
Yeah, we could take a look at the footage.
It's the opening of it, it's the growing of it, it's the laws changing, it's him as an advocate and what he's doing as a big part of the culture there, and then the bust, and it all comes tumbling down. He gets raided, and all of it. He's got all of it on film. Tommy Chong's in it, RVD, a lot of like I said, a lot of sledders would come through there and stuff, and he ended up. I went to support him in the court, and he ended up winning his case. The whole bus was bullshit because he did everything by the book, and they were trying to prove that he did something illegal, which would make everything illegal. And they were not able to prove it, and the jury ruled in his favor. But by that time, he's out over $500,000. His place has been closed. They had stolen his car. Boom, all kinds of shit. So they just leave you, like, okay, here, enjoy what's left of your life, even though they were in the wrong. So it's really fucked up. And I thought that we had a really good doc going that captured the story.
Yeah, maybe let's talk to him, see if we can see some of the footage.
Yeah, I believe I have it somewhere. I think I have maybe the whole thing.
Also, I do weird you mentioned that. Speaking of synchronicity, I remember listening to an Eric Bischoff podcast, and he told a story about how he went to Venice Beach just to visit one day, and he heard someone calling his name, and it was you from that dispensary. Saying like, Eric, come up here. And he said he went up there and hung out and stuff like that.
That's probably the first day that we probably talked about the idea or something. I don't know that for sure, but it might have been though. But him and Herbie both, they were just like, we went in the RVD business whatever it is. I remember they said that because it's like, wow, that sounds cool. Let's do something. But of course, we ended up not doing anything. That's Hollywood.
That's showbiz. That's showbiz. Venus Beach did add some clarity. He's like, where do you get these insights everyone else has to read in a book? So I think he's kind of indicating like, where do you kind of get the motivation to like, kind of what you read, how you select to read, and then like convey it to people, I guess.
I think what he's saying is, how do I know stuff that other people have to read books to find out? That's
Okay.
That's how I'm going to take it. And I also, have read books. I mean, especially when I first had what I'll call an awakening, for lack of a better term, which was about when I left WWE because I was burnt out and I felt like life was monotonous and my spirit was weak. And that was 2007, maybe 6. I think 7. I think 6. I think it was 2006. And I went on a bit of a sabbatical, to try to find myself and to try to grow my spirit. And it was so life-changing that I look at everything before that is like a lesser mature version of me, like my outlook, my perspective of the whole world, the universe, my relationship with it was such a young kid's perspective, my obligations, just how I felt as part of the whole, which is all of us. That all changed, and it started with some books, and then I've mentioned the Cena Prophecy, I've mentioned The Secret, I've mentioned the Four Agreements. What else did we talk about? And anyway, even with just those, like right away, I started finding other people that had read the same books and they were enlightened in the same way that I was, especially the Cena Prophecy. Like, everyone and it seemed like everybody that I talked to that had read that book said that somebody gave them that book. And I'm like, me too. Like I was talking about synchronicities to a dude, and I kept bringing it up, and the guy said, Rob, I think I'm supposed to give you this book that's in my car. Like I just wanted to get one, but I got two, and I happened to have one. And that's what the book is about how all that shit happens. And that's how energy, just moves. And it's awesome. So anyway, that was very influential on me. And then I understood it and I lived it and I still do. So
what do you think of the enlightening? Is it the burnout moment of when the enlightening comes, or like how did you tap in where it like opened up that new perspective?
Well, so it's always through awareness. That's it. As soon as you have awareness, you have a doorway to go through to change. It's that fucking simple, because once you become aware, then you'll notice it happens more often, and you never noticed that before. And then you're like, wow, it's a much bigger part of my day. And then eventually it runs your day. And it's really all about awareness. So first you have to understand and realize what we're talking about. And then it's awareness, like if we talk about how people try to intimidate you to get your energy, and we talk about that to a point to where it's like, let's try to stop people from doing that. Start becoming aware of when people say, hey, or something like that, and get you to force and look. I don't look. I won't look. Like I'll be walking on the sidewalk, riding my bike, driving my car, no matter whatever. If someone's like, hey, I no-sell it every fucking time. Katie's had to whip right around. Like, she's curious and she loves drama anyway. I no-sell fights when I walk right by them. But that's just it's something that, like, after becoming aware, then awareness affects change.
That's interesting. Yeah, guys, Celestian Prophecy, that people are asking about it in the chat. So,
have you read it?
I haven't read it yet. I cracked open the first chapter here, but I gotta
tell you, the first chapter is pretty rough, and but it really is. It's almost like I almost want to tell people to skip by it. I got Scotty Riggs the book, and he might have given up. I haven't talked to him about it in a while, but it's like, man, the first part, to get the story going, you got to go through a bunch of bullshit, because it's an actual fictional story but it contains like 9 insights towards spiritual ascension. And when you read it, it reads as very true to those of us that are like-minded. Like when it talks about energy and it talks about synchronicities, and you go through all of these from the 4th insight to the 5th insight, and all of these, you accept that as truth, even though it's a fictional book about a guy that goes to Peru in search of this manuscript that contains all of these insights. So the guy, he's got his adventures, he's discovering these insights, and so you go through his pathway, but you're also learning at the same time. And after the Cena Prophecy, there's non-fictional study guides to go along with it for that reason, because everybody, that read this story got a lot out of it, and we're able to better their lives. And so now there's a book on the 10th, and I think up to 12 insights, and there's the non fiction study guide where you go through and you go through all the insights and apply them towards your life, and it's a really cool thing. And like I said, after reading that, I just see everything as energy, which it is. You look under a microscope, everything looks the same. It's all just a bunch of little moving around molecules, so my perspective of this big pool of energy that we're all part of, it changed to where I accept, like we're all in this, whether we're talking about the air or the water, the ground, they're all just different molecules that are grouped together through vibrations, but really it's all like a big pool. And we use our senses, and that proves it to me. I go out there today in the sun, and I'm like, I feel the warmth of the sun. How far away is the fucking sun? But I actually feel it. I feel the heat because the sun is dissipated to that point, but it still reaches me. And we all dissipate and add to the pool from our physical selves. And that's something that people have to get their head around, but it explains like so much. And once you see it, you see it. And then, there's like a net or whatever you want to call it, that everything is connected to instantaneously, so that's why I could be thinking of a friend in Japan, and all of a sudden, boom, I get a text from him, and I'm like, whoa, how did that happen like that quick? And that's how it happens, because everything's connected, and fuck, I picked up my phone to text Joe earlier, and boom, he texted me right when I was about to text him. It's not like I text him every single day, but that kind of stuff, just being aware of it. And me and Joe got to points where we document it and write it down and study it later and stuff like that. Those are different levels of awareness and effort put into recording it, instead of just letting it slide by, and say, oh, what a coincidence, because that's not even in the game.
Rob, can I ask you a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
When I think about wrestling, I think about energy in a lot of ways. And when you're performing, let's say in front of like an ECW crowd where there's an energy exchange that is very intense, either between the wrestlers or between you and the crowd, do you consider yourself can you control that energy or manipulate it as like a conduit? Or how can you relate it to you as a performer? Because obviously, for something like that, I feel like that's part of the adrenaline of wrestling, is like the intensity of that energy exchange. Can you talk to that at all?
Man, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
I'm not really being clear very on the question. I guess I can relate to you when you talk about that energy, and
everything, but I mean, everything's energy. So when you say that energy, I'm not really sure what you're talking about already.
I feel like with a crowd, the energy is more intense. And,
okay.
I guess as a performer, does that mean, do you have, as your awareness of energy, do you have more control over energy, or do you know how to read energy, or do you relate it at all, I guess, to your wrestling?
if I get what you're saying, the answer is yes, but you don't have to be an energy ninja in order to, I mean, that's just part of the job as a performer, you know, especially a live performance like wrestling. Like, you notice when the crowd is quiet or when they're really behind it. You notice, you know, when they're intense. So that's just part of the job. So that's part of the awareness. I guess I never really thought of it. Maybe that's what you're doing, is you're making me connect that and see that that's kind of like the same way in a bigger universally. Because like for instance, I just was talking to somebody yesterday saying I'd wrestled in Korea one time, and the crowd was so easy to work with because they were so excited. All you had to do was like flex your shoulders, and thousands of fans, oh, and because they didn't have wrestling live every week, you know, it was a very rare thing. Maybe they'd never had it. I doubt that. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of the fans had never been to live wrestling before. And so but all of us, that's part of our profession, you know, is to pick up on that. And then the veterans, the ones that are better, you know, like John Cena could turn a crowd around. If they hate him, he can make them love him by the end of his promo. I've seen him do that in Wales and a few places in the UK. And so, like, if I get what you're saying, that's part of the job. And so, yeah, you could train yourself like that in life also to be aware. So you were asking about the energy, and I feel like you're talking about like the energy that the fans are putting off. And and so, like, in that respect, just to further explain what I was saying about the web of everything being energy, if I smell the fans from the ring, maybe maybe they have popcorn, you know, whatever, but that's actually between my nose and that actual fucking live Colonel, whatever the fuck it is, Colonel Redenbacher, that is dissipated energy to the point to where I can't feel it with my fingers, but I can see it and I can smell it. Maybe I can even taste it. And so everything is like that. And it's like, when you think about it like that, like, you are here with me right now, just in such a dissipated form that you don't even know, but like, whereas you think you're solid, and that's really like an illusion. I mean, it's you're only as solid as the vibration that holds you together. You know what I mean? And like I said, the microscope idea usually helps people understand it, because you think your finger's solid, and you look at it, it's a whole bunch of little molecules moving around. And even those molecules, if you get something that can see the atom and the nucleus and, you know, and your electron and everything at the most minuscule level, that when you get to that level, I don't think you even notice the difference between air and your body, you know, and water. I think at that point, it's just all the same.
That's where my sensitivity has kicked up in recent years, is being able to walk into a room and like sense that like a dark energy, or someone's like really, really pissed off, or like you walk in a room and it's like, whoa, like something's off here. You know, like you can almost see like the aura around someone, where you know that they're giving off a vibration that's something's really off, and it's like sucking stuff in, you know.
So, but one thing just to point out, what you're talking about actually doesn't even use any of the five senses. It's something else, you know what I mean? It's like your common sense, it's your observational sense. But when I'm talking about like the dissipated energy that makes all of us connected, that's, you know, like if it's right here, I can touch it and feel it, can taste it. If it's right here, if it's a little further away, maybe I can only smell it, or I can see it. You know, you can see miles and miles and miles away, but that's actually a connection between what you're looking at, whether it's a mountain or a star or whatever, and your eye. But yeah, I just want to point that out. Like what you're talking about, to be aware of that, you have to develop like a sixth sense.
Well, everything goes back to everything's potential, right? Like it's that I feel like this is, we're getting into like quantum. I didn't anticipate us talking about quantum physics.
No, right?
But let's dive into it, I guess.
Well, to follow up on that,
everything's in an infinite field of potential, I guess.
All right, here's a super chat. Smiley Gardner goes in. RV, Mr. RV F&D. I just want to know when's the last you saw Sabu? How is he doing? Have you ever been in a barbed wire match? So when's the last time you saw Sabu there, Rob?
I saw him downtown Las Vegas, and it was probably about a month ago. But I text him on the phone almost every day. And usually we talk like we're going to get together, but we just hardly ever do, or he'll say, hey, you want to go to the Nerd tonight? And I'm like, oh, no, not tonight. I'm just going to bed or whatever. And we do a lot of that. We keep in touch. He lives in town with me probably 20 minutes away, maybe 25, just because there's some little neighborhoods you got to drive through slow. But and nothing's more than 20, 25 minutes here in Vegas anyway. But that was the last time I saw him, was downtown. And I was actually there with Katie and Dee for the gay pride parade. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. They were rollerblading. And I rode my bike to keep up with them, just beside him.
Oh, there you go.
Yay, gays!
Yeah. Well, you mentioned John Cena. It's kind of funny that you did mention him because one of the notes I had today was, did you hear what he said about your guys' match on TikTok? Did you hear anything about this?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Let me pull it up then here. Let me find where it is. Here we go. So let's see here. So this is what so apparently what John does on TikTok, he'll kind of recap his matches or like cover some of his matches that he had. Sure enough, this week he talked about One Night Stand. So here's his quote. So here's a moment that's probably most talked about in my career in WWE, ECW One Night Stand. Hammerstein Ballroom against Rob Van Dam. We're at a championship match against Rob. And in an additional match against my T-shirt when he threw the T-shirt and he got the Now, I knew this was the crowd was going to be hostile, but hostile doesn't even describe the atmosphere in the Hammerstein Ballroom. They love Rob and they hate me. This is probably the peak of polarization that would leak into WWE for years. You would hear the name John Cena. It was either he sucks or he's my guy. There was no one in the building saying he's my guy. Rob and I went back and forth, and you can kind of see of a non-virtuous side where I begin to push the boundaries of good and evil because I was trying everything, and it seemed like the world was against me. Indeed, it was. Rob's talent absolutely shows in this match, but the world right here is against me, and I'm speared through a table by Darth Vader, a.k.a. my arch nemesis, Edge. Rob gets a championship moment, which is fantastic, and Edge and I go down to do some incredible things in WWE. What a night at Hammerstein Ballroom. No one will ever call this to happen. How about that? So,
wow, man, how long is the fucking TikTok video? I was thinking they were all shorts. That's
yeah,
all
they are. I know. Well, they go up to 10 minutes now.
Oh, okay.
But
and he's speaking like into the camera or what?
He's speaking into the camera and stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah,
cool.
He covered it up. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. And
I guess, yeah. Rob, that's kind of like what I was asking about is I think I was talking about energy in a different way. Maybe I'm almost referring to it as electricity, but like that's the perfect example is that night is like, can you describe from an energy from that standpoint of being in that position on that night to have all that be directed just right at you as like a lightning rod of energy? Like, can you still put yourself back in that place and feel what that was like in that moment and describe that feeling? Because I feel like that's something that less than 0.01% of people will ever feel in a lifetime.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And even, in my career, that's the only time ever. So 1%, or let's say way less than that, not 1 out of 100, fucking 1,000,000% of my matches had that particular kind of energy. I don't know if I can describe it because, to put myself back there, I had a whole different perspective of the world, of the industry, of myself. of my indestructibility, of my excitement for ECW to be coming out, and my ability to show everybody on the biggest stage there is my favorite style that before was so extreme that it couldn't be shown on such a big stage. So I was really, really stoked. And I've said, on here before, like I felt like I couldn't be beat. I felt like I couldn't get hurt. And all those people, they were all my people. So I felt, I felt outstandingly excellent in a way that I felt better probably than, those people's energy made me feel better, for sure. Absolutely. They reassured to me that I was the whole effing show to them. They backed up every play that I've made up to that point in my career, and they were letting me know it right there with their fucking screams and their audible and visible support. Yeah.
Well, Rob, so wanted to follow up too in the regards of John Cena being a babyface, and it's kind of funny too because on a future episode of the Road Dogs podcast, we talk about being a babyface, and I kind of wanted to get your perspective. What did the Sheik and Sabu kind of teach you initially about what conveys a good baby face specifically, or did you learn it from somebody else about some of the key components to being a babyface?
I feel like, I was pretty much the baby face just because of the way that I looked. So it was like kind of obvious I was going to be the baby face. I was the better looking one out of the group, the 4 or 5 guys that we had. It was just Sabu and Dango. Dango could go either way. But he's Vietnamese, and so he would be the heel to go against me, the Polish Prince or whatever on that night. And then there was Tom Bennett, big dude, Samson, that introduced me to Sheik. And there's Judge Dredd, big dude from Adrian, Michigan, nice guy. And that was it. That was a team that we had. But I was always, just because I was the like I said, I looked more like a baby face, but none of my training with the Sheik had anything to do with engaging the crowd or, that was picked up through being on the road, learning as you go. With the Sheik, it was all about just grabbing each other, throwing each other down, trying to pin each other, and never, ever breaking the moment, that you're in a fight, from beginning to end. And what he taught me, I always say it's obvious to me that guys don't have that in them anymore. It's something that's easy for me to point out. And that's all it was, though. He would have killed me if I would have started going like this to the crowd and stuff. My first few matches, I'd have to make sure he wasn't around if I did that, or if I did it, I would expect to hear from him. But I remember him saying he thought only the champions should be able to flex. He thought, everyone did that too much. And if I ever turned my back on any one of his guys to look at the crowd, I would expect to get jumped or schoolboyed at least. And it was that kind of intensity. It was real. We beat the shit out of each other. We were trying to beat each other for hours and hours and hours in the ring. And then, about hours and hours and hours, because hours has to be at least 2. So that would be 2, 4, 6. Yeah, sometimes. But anyway, being on the road, then it gets really confusing because you get so much advice that contradicts other advice. And you start wondering fuck, who should I listen to? This guy said, get the crowd into it a little bit more. This guy said, quit worrying about the crowd. And this guy says that. And it was who do I listen to? It was like that. And I think a lot of
the moment when it flipped from a shoot to where you're like, wait a minute, we're not supposed to be shooting on each other right now. What's going on? Or when were you enlightened of what was supposed to be happening?
So we were big enough wrestling fans, me and Dango, to know that we had to work together to an extent, but we had to make it so much of a shoot that it would surpass the Sheik standards. You know what I mean? So it was luck. It was like there wasn't any like feeding. There wasn't any of this. You're gonna duck a clothesline, so I'm gonna throw it up at the stars just in case. So if you don't duck, I don't hit you in the nose. I hate that. I hate that, and I see it every time I watch wrestling. Where you know it's the arch, the golden arch clothesline.
McDonald's.
I fucking hate it. And just that little thing is enough to tell me that they weren't committed like I was. They weren't in the mindset. And I'm not saying that I was perfect, but when we were training, you know, we got trained to be in the moment so much that you know, I'm fucking bam, I'm coming through with it. And you better duck. And I did hurt a lot of people because of that, you know, especially when I was first starting out and my first, you know, 10, 20 years. But that was something that, you know, like we're not, you know, looking around to see, you know, where the X is for the mark for our next spot.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, before I forget too, Smiley also asked, were you ever in a barbed wire match yourself?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, yes, I guess maybe with Abyss, that pay-per-view. I think it was called 10-10-10.
Oh,
that was the
date. Chris will know. He's going to be in the chat here, so he'll let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abyss had barbed wire rolled up on a piece of plywood. That was part of the match, and we used it. I gave him a Rolling Thunder. I went over the top rope and put him through the barbed wire table that went from the apron to the guardrail. Boom. That high spot is in Headstrong, the documentary, by the way, in the little punishment reel that's shown. And so that is the only thing I've done besides coming out in the very famous Sabu and Terry Funk barbed wire match where I had gloves on and wire cutters and was cutting Sabu out of the rat's nest that him and Terry Funk had gotten into.
Holy shit. Yeah, Chris says it was the Monsters Ball match. So that's what you guys had with the Abyss. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that barbed wire wasn't gimmicked, right? Or was there's no?
No. And my understanding is like what Sabu told me a long time ago that sometimes they would gimmick like every other knob or whatever you call the thing, you know, and just like I was taught that you make the tightrope hard and solid, so when people come by and then feel the rope, they go, "Wow, that's what it's like." But you know, but really, that's never been the truth. The ropes are never tight enough for me. I'm always like, "Dude, I need the top one tight, like the fucking right bottom one." But yeah, Sabu would they would go and they would cut off some of the extra wire that was hanging, that was poking out, and leave some of it on, and then I guess thereby decreasing your chances of getting sliced open considerably. But I remember one time, and it could have been this match with Terry Funk, I don't know, but I remember, I don't know for sure that I'm going to get the details 100% right on this, but the way I remember it, ECW, they sent some guys out to get some barbed wire. They went right to Home Depot, got the fucking thickest shit, brought it back in, set it in, and nobody gimmicked it at all. And it might have been this match with Terry Funk, so everything was 100% legit.
Holy shit. Yeah, there's a Home Depot right by the ECW arena.
Sabu was like, "These dumb motherfuckers, you know, they brought the whole fucking thing in." And that's when I learned, when he told me you're supposed to do this. And I was like, oh.
Rob, if the story did constitute for it, would you have done a barbed wire match?
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. If I felt like doing it, I don't know. Yeah. Never thought about it. It's like getting a tattoo. Would I get a tattoo if I felt like getting a tattoo? I guess. I don't know what it's like to feel like wanting one.
Right. Well, cool. What I also wanted to follow up with too, with regards to John Cena, why do you think John Cena as a babyface? Now, specifically with One Night Stand, obviously he was the hated guy there, but overall during that time, you kind of mentioned it there. Moving on from that, he became really polarizing. Why do you think he was so polarizing at that time, Rob?
Because he represented WWE and a certain era of WWE that wasn't the preferred style to the progressively aggressive, growing wrestling crowd. You know, they were like ready for a change. ECW was so revolutionary. And then Cena represented what WWE forced down the fans' throats at the time. At least that's how they saw it, and said, hey, we're the only show in town, so we're going to tell you this is wrestling and you're going to love it. And that's how the fans felt. So they were happy to see an alternative choice, and Cena, you know, represented that same old shit, you know, from their perspective.
Mm-hmm. Rob, does the speaking of awareness, like just being around him at that time, was he aware of like what was his thought process during that time? Was he just like, hey, like they're just showing emotions, I'm going to lean into it, or was it getting to him, or was he just like happy to be getting a response, or what was your what was he thinking during that time?
I think that he was just fine with it, like it is what it is. You know, like I mentioned that I'd seen him turn some crowds around that hated him. That was shortly before this. Like we were building towards this, and so he was already at that point where he represented the era, what I just talked about. So it was like in Belgium and in Wales, and there was certain places like over there in Europe that they were just like so. The whole everything seemed progressive, you know, even just all even the paint in the arenas and the graffiti and all this stuff. It seemed a lot more hardcore, a lot more ECW friendly than family tradition. You know, this was a moving culture. You could see it, the culture ahead of our mainstream, and it was represented in that way. You know, so I think Cena enjoyed it. You know what I mean? He enjoyed working with the crowd. I think either way, you know, I can't speak for him. You know, I know getting cheers can be a lot more fun than getting boos, but sometimes some of the guys don't even care, or they get boos all the time, and that's what their deal is, and so that's what they want. I can't say for sure, but I know he knew what he was in for that night for the Hammerstein Ballroom, and he was ready for it. But I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know he was going to have the shirt throwing contest or that. You know, that was great. I was laughing because I was like, "Oh my god, that fan's still nobody wants his shirt." And then I was just like, "Man, this crowd's fucking awesome!" Like that was all so real.
Yeah,
it very much felt like a special moment too. Like for fans,
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it felt like for you guys too. Jeez, Joe, I meant to ask you too. How you were a wrestling fan growing up?
Oh yeah, I've been a massive mark since I was a kid. Grew up. I'm just super early, probably like age 4 or 5. Started watching it, and then I go back to when I was 10. My first pay-per-view was Over the Edge, 1998. It was Stone Cold versus Dude Love, and like that's when like my mind imploded on myself, and like I was hooked like a drug, and yeah, I have so many prominent memories. I've told Rob this, but I remember in junior high, I was in the back of the computer lab during like science class, and I was on Napster. I think Napster. That's how old I am.
Probably Napster.
And I was downloading clips of the Sabu RVD stretcher match, and like I was reading about it online. I was like, I gotta see this, and I just remember getting clips of it and like watching it in like 3 pixels, you know, on this like crappy computer, and just my mind was melting, like just with the craziest stuff. And so, yeah, I've been hooked ever since I was a kid. And so it was a huge dream come true. I remember writing myself on my notepad, like when I was 20, that I always wanted to make a wrestling documentary. And so to have Headstrong come about, and Rob was like literally the perfect person for the project, because like I mean, not to blow too much smoke, but Rob, no pun intended, but Rob's like the coolest wrestler, you know? And so like it was the perfect fit. It was a great story. I'm really proud of the film. I know Rob is. And just the journey from the beginning to us making it and the years putting into it. And now even I still post clips of it on our social media, and there's still new people rediscovering it. Like, there's still clips that go viral that like people think that either it's just released or they're just now figuring it out. And so,
yeah, I saw some of the remarks from the fans saying, "Oh, I hope you get better, Rob."
and I'm like, I'll run with this as a marketing gimmick, I guess. And so, you know, wrestling has been an integral part of my life, and it's cool now to see it become more mainstream and more accepted. Like for years I hid my wrestling fandom, you know, like it was not a cool thing to be a fan for the longest time. And then I just started owning it at a certain point, and now like wrestling is cool. So evolution has been really awesome to see.
Real quick, Greg Jacobson, he also tunes into the Oh You Didn't Know podcast. Hey, RVD, any fond memories of ECW in Belmar, New Jersey?
Yeah. So in Belmar, there was a bar, and the ring was outside. And so I remember, I think it was the Dudleys. I know me and Sabu wrestled the Dudleys there. This was either that match or might have wrestled the Eliminators there too. But we went there sometimes, and it was, the fans loved having us there, ECW fans in New Jersey. But the outside shows are always contingent upon the weather. I remember when it was like really hot, and so the canvas was really hot, and so like it hurt, like it burned on this one day to lay on the canvas. So we're trying to wrestle, and then we're laying down. It's like, oh fuck, because it just right in the sun, everything was cooking, and I think of that. When I think about Belmar, New Jersey. But it was a good part of the growth of ECW, because we were getting out of the home building in Philly, getting out on the road and discovering some towns and venues were winners and some weren't. I have no idea if they made money there. I assume it was a sold show. That's usually how bars work, as opposed to the wrestling promotion selling tickets themselves and taking a chance. But who knows? But I think people just stood around because, like I said, it was outside. I think it was in the dirt. I think they had like sand there, if I'm not mistaken, like for a volleyball
court.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Well, he said too. Greg says a bar anticipation. Does that sound right? Maybe as a location.
I don't remember bar anticipation. That sounds like a strip club,
doesn't it? Yeah,
sure does.
YouTube.
I have to check that one out.
YouTube Chris provides a little factoid here. There's a match he put on your YouTube from Belmar in 1998. It was RVD and Sabu versus Chris Candido and Lance Storm in July of '98. They defended the tag titles against them. They beat them for the titles a few weeks prior. So there you go.
Yeah, boom.
Happening.
Watch it on YouTube.
Do a little search on rvdpod.com. Cool. Chris, Joe, are you good? Do you have extra time, or do you?
I got a few more minutes. I got my mom Netflix for Christmas, so we're gonna pound out some true crime documentaries. Ooh. But I got about 10 minutes.
Okay, Bob, do you have any recommendations for them?
I know. I was just thinking about that. Like, what would there's been so many.
We've been watching a lot of like Mormon, Warren Jeffs style crazy things.
Oh shit! There's that like Too Sweet thing or something like that.
We just watched that last night. Yeah, you're talking about the polygamy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that dude Ken, I think is his name, and he's got like 12 wives and 29 daughters, and some of them are
like a super old dude.
Yeah, we just watched that as a 3-parter. No, that was on YouTube though, I think.
Oh.
It was on YouTube, not Netflix. But anyway, on Netflix, the Unsolved Mysteries.
Ooh.
Is that good?
from 2023.
Oh, they redid it.
October 2023. There's an episode called I think the episode is called Dead in the Hotel Room. And if I'm wrong, it's close enough to where you're going to recognize it. I think it's Dead in the Hotel Room from October 2023, Unsolved Mysteries. That's my recommendation. And it's about the wrestling promoter here in Las Vegas, Joe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill. And he used to run the shows when I started wrestling out here. He just switched from Buffalo Bill to TC Martin at the Silver Nugget Casino in 95. And Buffalo Bill was still around. I remember he gave guys rides to the airport or whatever. He was a really well-known figure in Las Vegas. And he had some confrontations with the local mafia.
Oh, wow.
It's very interesting. But the mafia, they ran Crazy Horse too. And his body shop, car shop, was attached to that building, and they feuded all the time. And he would film everything they did illegal, beating up people in the parking lot, prostituting in the limos, whatever. He was always turning shit into the FBI and always fighting with Rick Rizzolo, who was the owner, and the mob guy. But this would be like the movie Casino, which is like my favorite fucking movie. This would be the sequel if there was a sequel to Casino. It would include Crazy Horse 2 and all the shenanigans that went on there with Joey the Clown Lombardo's brother, Rocco, ran it, and Tony Spilatro's brother. The thing is that's really interesting. Like all these gangsters like worked in the club and they did all these things, and one of them is Godfather.
Whoa.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
He's got some stories, I bet.
Yeah, and he always says, man, sometime I'll have to tell you. But like whenever I'm like, dude, tell me, he doesn't remember shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the movie Casino, the bad guys, they had a robbery. They had a gang, and they went around robbing all these places, and they called themselves the Hole in the Wall Gang. And it's portrayed in the movie. They're robbing Bertha's jewelry store on Sahara, and they would like blow a hole in the wall on the side of it and get in through there to bypass the alarm. And anyway, big buzz because there was an informant, and the cops were already watching them and all this stuff, and they all went down. One of the guys that was in the Hole of the Wall Gang, he's in the mugshots and everything. His name is Joey Blasco, and Joey Blasco worked for the police here in Vegas, but he got busted giving information to Tony Spilatro, the mob boss, and so he got fired. He just switched sides and then joined their gang and worked and started stealing with the mafia. Hi, baby. Hi, babies.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. Anyway.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday, Katie.
Thank y'all.
Anyway, just let me before you forget what I just said, this guy, Joey Blasco, I mentioned to Godfather when I was talking to him, like, didn't Joey Blasco end up working down there? And he goes, what? You talking about Joey B? And he tells his wife, honey, he's talking about Joey B. He's like, hell yeah, man. He was the best man at my wedding. And I'm like, the guy that was a cop that was giving info to the mobsters and then joined the mobsters when he got fired. And Joey B, yeah, man. I'm like, tell me some stories. Oh, man, he was a good guy.
That's amazing.
I mean, the Godfather name now makes even more sense.
Man, he was one of the bouncers there, man, and he was one of the guys that would throw the guys out and stuff. But anyway, that would be at least half of the sequel to Casino would be right there at Crazy Horse 2. It's got a great, if you look it up online, it's fascinating. But that's my recommendation for Netflix, Joe.
Awesome. Yeah, we've also been talking. I think we're gonna go to the Mob Museum pretty soon here too. I haven't been there yet, so
let me know. Perhaps I'll go with you.
give it. You can be the tour guide, Rob.
Right.
I know you are the master of it.
Right.
Yeah, before I moved here, I used to hang out in the gift shop that the tour ends in, and just when people come through, I'd just be like, "Did you enjoy the, and I was just to start conversations because I was bored and I wanted to talk about it. But back then, they needed help, and I really was trying to help them too. Then business picked up, and boom! Ever since then, I think they're doing well from what I understand.
Where's that located at in Vegas, Rob?
It's right downtown. It's the old courthouse here that they used to use in Las Vegas. So that's part of the theme. Is in the 50s there was a traveling trial called the Kefauver hearings where they went around and the Senate. Got a bunch of the mobsters together and interviewed them, and everyone pleaded the fifth. And they did that. How many? They did that in, I think it's at least 20 states anyway. But the courthouse that they did that in here in Vegas, that's the mob museum, and the courtroom is set up as a courtroom, and you can go there and watch the screening of some of the footage of the Kefauver hearings, when you're there in the courtroom. So that's pretty cool to do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
One of my mom, she's in a golf league, and their home course is the scene from Casino where the plane lands on the golf course.
Yeah.
That's where she plays at.
Well, okay. Yeah. Nice. Nationals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. I looked at that house. It was for sale.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's got like seashells on the roof that the production company put up there for the movie, and then the owner just wanted to keep them. So.
I need to rewatch the movie now, because now that I'm here in Vegas, it's funny to hear you say like on Sahara, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly where Sahara is at.
Yeah, totally.
I got to rewatch it now.
Joe, I watched it for the first time on when we first started recording, and I was blown away by it.
It's incredible. It's I'm more partial to Goodfellas, but Casino is right there with me.
Yeah, they're both very, very good. Those are to me, they're almost equal, but I like the West Coast and that flavor. So I lean towards that. Sure, man. You look awesome, baby. Look at you.
Thanks.
Look at my wife.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, happy.
What
What are you guys gonna do?
Champagne.
Oh, nice.
Stella.
I told you we were in the Pride Parade.
You guys know what you're gonna do for your birthday yet, Katie?
I don't know. Maybe the skating rink.
Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
And we can see from our house, we can see like a 360 view of fireworks.
No way.
Upstairs deck. So it's cool to go up there on big holidays, and then everybody in our whole neighborhoods doing their own little private party. Plus, we can see the fireworks from the strip.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's something special.
Jeez. How about
Oh, well,
Anyway, speaking of Pride, I was on my this was a few weeks ago, but on a Twitter argument with some dude, and he just would not shut up, and he thinks he had such a good point, kept coming back, and something about he thought I was gay bashing because that's something that I tweeted. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember, but a lot of people came forward, and a lot of people mistook it, and other people said that's not what he said at all. But anyway, this guy kept going on and said something about gay hating something, and I'm like, dude, I said, my wife has a girlfriend, right? And then he said, oh my God, this is what he texted in a tweet. Oh my God. He goes, you do know that I know someone that's gay, so I'm not an anti-gay. Doesn't work, right? You do know that, right? Please tell me you know that. Oh my God. Tell me you know that. That was his response. And I'm like, does this guy know what happens during throuple sex?
Oh man, that's this thing. So many people try to perpetuate something online. It's like,
I know. And every once in a while, I get into entertaining little back and forth with them, and then we usually talk about it on here.
Twitter wars, Rob.
Yeah. Well, and then people are like, why do you waste your time with these people? And it is a waste of time. Some people, they're not ever gonna, you're not gonna get through to them. But there's a lot of other people that read it that I might get through to, that
For sure.
either they'll enjoy it or maybe they'll learn from it, from my response or whatever.
Right.
For other people too.
All right, guys, I gotta get rolling here.
Hey,
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, anything you want to plug?
At Back Row Studios, if you want to follow us, we're posting Headstrong clips like right now. So we'll be and hopefully Rob and I will talk about future projects on a future episode too.
Absolutely.
Fucking hey, yeah. So tell Mom and OJ I said
you can explain that story when I'm off the air.
Joe, nice
Awesome,
to meet you,
guys.
man.
Thank you so much for this. This was a blast, and happy 33 episodes.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Come right back anytime.
Talk to you soon, Joe.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, what's the OJ story?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't even say, but it refers to his mom being out here and somehow a joke materialized of her hanging out with OJ Simpson. I can't remember where it started. Yeah.
Well, guys,
I'm so inside that I don't even know it anymore.
it's just it's taking on a life of its own.
Maybe he said she lives like where OJ does or something in that part of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Guys, we have like 70 people in here. I do want to thank YouTube Chris for help joining in and helping.
Oh fuck!
Oh no!
No.
That's the fourth drink I've spilled this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, baby.
not the champagne.
I still drink. Yeah, at the Christmas party at these families, I spilled 2 drinks, and I spilled one in between, but I can't remember right now which one that was. But it was somewhere public though. I do that. I'm so fucking clumsy. When I was a kid, every fucking morning I used to spill my orange juice. Thank you, baby. And it would piss my dad off so much. I guess because he thought that I must not care enough to stop doing it or to get better at it or whatever. But it wasn't on purpose. But my mom would have the orange juice already poured for me when I sit at the table. Before school, and for some reason I would knock the orange juice over, and my dad, this was back when parents could touch their kids, he used to give me a palm thrust right in my forehead. Bam! That was his spanking me, like bam, palm thrust. And I used to get that every morning because I'd spill my orange juice at the table, and I'd be into my mouth. But he doesn't do it on purpose. Well, does that every day, and I was just so clumsy. But anyway, as an adult, you can see I'm much better. Those palm thrusts really
hammered home.
They really helped a lot, Dad. Yeah,
Yeah, really instilled you to hold on to your glasses.
Probably just more headbanging to add to the list of concussions.
Right. Well, guys, if you want to get a super chat in, feel free to. Yes, we got a lot of good feedback. Oh, what is that, Rob?
Hopefully I didn't just put my address on there.
Oh, I don't think.
Or we can blur that out or something. But, I'm gonna try these real soon. But this is DDP's new gimmick.
Oh, the power cuffs.
Yep. He sent me the power cuffs, and I'm looking forward to giving them a try. I might try as early as tomorrow. I gotta watch the video on it and learn up on it. But I love the theory. I love what I understand from it. And which is very little, but he always talks about, remember what the Ultimate Warrior did. Oh, that was half Ultimate Warrior and half DDP. That was kind of like right in the middle of them. I guess I can't turn the dial either way, the two. Okay. But anyway, DDP said, that Warrior would like tie his shit so tight that would restrict the blood flow and make all the veins pop out. And that's pretty much his new system now. These power cuffs purposely restrict your blood flow, and you lift a lighter weight, which I'm all about that anyway. So he's like said, you got to check your ego at the door because you won't be lifting like super heavy. And no problem. You know, like my workouts are a lot more designed towards that. I'm looking forward to it. And I happen to be vascular as fuck too, you know, and so this might even help with that. So looking forward to that. And he said he's added an inch on his arms, like in the last, I think he said, I don't know if he said a couple months or whatever, but since he's been doing this, and he's like pushing 70. So that's kind of a lot because he was in shape already. He wasn't someone that just started working out. You know what I mean? So anyway, these are the power cuffs, and I'll keep you guys posted on it. And I definitely plan on trying them before we do our next show. And when I say trying them, I mean, you know, I'm gonna commit. I'm not just gonna do like one workout and then talk about it, because that's what he wants, is for us to commit like 90 days, I think. That's what he was wanting at first anyway, in order to give it a fair try to see what it can do and shit. You know what I mean? To stick with the plan for a while. So I'm gonna fucking do that.
Dude, that's nice.
Yeah.
I love DDPY. That's how I started doing that like 12 years ago or something like that. And it's all that dynamic resistance stuff, and your body just feels great after you do it too.
I love that DDP is such a figure of health and athleticism and fitness. You know, I just love it. I love him being that guy, the Richard Simmons of our world and industry. It's so awesome. And he's, you know, such a great guy. And he's helped so many fucking people.
Right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Very awesome. Well, cool. We'll wrap this up here pretty quick. I did kind of want to get some perspective on something the Undertaker was talking about. So WrestleMania 7 took place, and he actually brought up about the Sergeant Slaughter angle with Hulk Hogan and the Desert Storm stuff that was going on at the time. And I thought he was talking about how Sergeant Slaughter got like death threats and stuff like that. So kind of want to get your perspective on this too. So obviously, the more personal you can make a wrestling angle, the better it's going to be. And if you throw championships on top of all that, it really makes it even more compelling. But I mean, personal rivalries were always the best. And we were at war, so this was a bold move to do this angle. And he said Sergeant Slaughter was always talking about getting death threats, people threatening him, and how you could do that to our country. It's just like, come on, man, it's pretty good, man. If you have to say, honestly, it took at the time period for someone for Sergeant Slaughter's character, his career, and his gimmick, everything else to do that. It was a bold move, a real bold move. Rob, do you remember that kind of affecting you at all too? Starting off early in the business, that whole storyline.
I don't think that affected me, or I don't remember how that it did. I don't see how it could have. But this was Sergeant Slaughter turning heel?
Heel, yeah, and joining up Sheik, and then that whole aspect, or the Iron Sheik, obviously, and then him going, and like them having to change venues and all that stuff when it came to like, you know, bomb threats or whatever.
You know, I mean, as far as my thoughts on it, I mean, you said it right there when you said the Sheik. You know, he made his career by being an anti-American. And, you know, we've always, seems like, been at war over oil with the people that live in the desert that wear towels on their heads, you know, and the Sheik became the epitome and embodied that character so much that, you know, people would never hear him speak English in his whole career, and he was so scary, and that was the heat that he got. And I don't know how much of it was exaggerated, but he told us that he had been banned from towns, you know, including New York City. He told us when he trained us that he was banned for I think 2 lifetimes from New York City. Now that could have been some cap, as Katie taught me, means, I guess, exaggerating, but that is what he taught us when he was training us, and I know that he did get that kind of a heat. You know, he would wrestle back then babyfaces like Bob Backlund, for instance, in Detroit, and everyone would be behind Bob like he was like he represented them, because Sheik was that guy. He was that heat. So as far as me and my thoughts on whether the Iron Sheik and Sarge pushed the envelope too much or crossed any lines or whatever, that's just what it is. When we have heat with the Russians, Nikolai Volkov, you know, Ivan Koloff, Boris Zukov. It's just the way that it's wrestling now, as I end up saying every week, is becoming this safe for work environment. It's becoming an equal opportunity employing corporate kind of place. And it used to be a good old boys closed door, behind the doors secret society, and it was always very stereotypical in that way, that you had somebody representing each ethnicity to draw those people, but also to draw heat.
Right. And you look at nowadays too, you have guys that are kind of standing out a little bit more and trying to break that convention too, like a Mustafa Ali, who's kind of he's now a free agent out of WWE, and he's kind of making his own way, and like trying to break that notion of like, oh, there's the foreign heel or anything like that going on. And it's a very different aspect of things. But Smiley Gardner chimes in again. Did you ever want to be in CZW, Rob?
No.
I didn't think so. Did not think so.
I'm not even exactly sure what that is. I think that CZW, I think, was the group that was across the river when we were running ECW. Okay, yeah. So
yeah, they were.
Nabu would work for them and work for both. Dennis Caruso, I think, was a promoter.
Yeah, Dennis Corluzzo, was that him?
Caruso?
Yeah, I think it might have been him.
Yes.
YouTube Chris might know. But yeah, no, that was they did a little bit more deathmatch kind of stuff. I know John Moxley got a big part of his start there and everything. And yeah, definitely a different kind of.
And I always have been and still am, about the booking is about the business end of it anyway. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know why people think that I would want to go somewhere for any other reason, to travel away from home and to wrestle, because I love the business, and so I'm going to work for a tenth of my fee because it'll be fun. No, that's not. It's my job. It's what I do, and so it's always been about that too. So I'm not saying I wouldn't have wrestled for CZW if they would have wanted to book me and we would have worked things out. I don't remember actually ever talking to them firsthand anyway. Just a little chatter like, yeah, I think they want to bring you in, but it was heat with Paul already, and it was so long ago I don't really remember. But I don't think that I wanted to specifically wrestle for them, and I don't think that any bookings were on the table that I can remember. But it's a long time ago. So if YouTube Chris says bullshit, you wrestled Balls Mahoney for CZW right here, I got the proof, then my bad.
My bad.
It's possible.
Well, cool. We'll finish it up with this. There's news that just kind of broke that Sasha Banks seems to be now Mercedes Mone. She's kind of moving on and trademarking some names more related to Monet, so kind of indicating that maybe she's not resigning or going to sign again with WWE. We talked about women's wrestling last week, and she's always been a prominent name here and kind of like the evolution of women's wrestling. Kind of wanted you to get your thoughts on Mercedes Mone and everything like that. Have you interacted with her before? And what are your overall thoughts on her?
I think she's awesome, and I mean, super, super nice. When I talk to her and stuff. But I was a fan of hers when I just watched her work. She was one of the frontline women that, in my mind, helped change the whole playing field, from women wrestling being something that it was okay to not be the best, and then it changed to where it's competitive. It could compete with the men's on on whatever you judge a match by, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm a fan of that, as I've said. I'd rather watch women wrestle actually, and a lot of them are really great looking too, and so I'm happy that it's come as far as it has. And Sasha is one of the wrestlers that I think of that was on that forefront when I saw it changing into like, holy crap, like these girls are having like a really good match and they're all really talented and they look like they know what they're doing. And it used to not be so much that way. Like it used to be when someone said you hit like a girl, that's because girls would kind of hit funny. And it used to be that we only do that again. It used to be that girls kind of did everything a little funny or a little different when it came to wrestling, and that was just accepted. And they threw that out the window during the Sasha Banks era, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And somebody that always gets credit for helping out the women wrestlers a lot is Fit Finley, I know. And so, and he's kind of helped perpetuate that notion of like adding legitimacy to those kind of matches and bringing that more to the forefront. So it's pretty cool. And it's just we talked about it last week, and it's definitely a fascinating aspect where and to Sasha Banks, like you think about the match with her and Bayley at like NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is such a huge takeaway match. People always praise that one. So yeah, she's definitely a pioneer, so to speak, on that. So cool. All right, Rob, it's that time again. It's time to wrap it up for our
music. Where's my RVD
music? I'm concerned though. My issue is I don't want to get a copyright flag, so I got to try to figure out to get your music.
Cushionator music. I got to remember that to send it.
Okay, send it.
No, yeah.
So what do you got for me?
So, we talked today about Headstrong. If you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon, documentary that Joe Clarke and I put together. And, originally it was going to be about me doing a stand-up comedy tour. It was going to showcase me on stage, that side of me. And in the end, it ended up following me and my adventures through dealing with concussion symptoms. And so in the very end, I had to make a lot of editing decisions. Like I filmed a lot of stuff that I didn't think I would use, talking about the concussion stuff, just in case I wanted to be open about it. But the reason I didn't want to be that open about it was just the same reason that I always haven't been open about being hurt or being injured. That's just what people like me do, And so I had these discussions with Joe where I was saying, if we do something and expose that I had these concussion symptoms, then I know that some of the fans are always going to connect that. And I already, my ego wants to think that it's tough. And I have issues with people feeling sorry for me, you know what I mean? And I was telling Joe, I don't want people for the rest of my life saying, well, how's your head feeling? Are you better? And so I was really against it. I was going back and forth, but the thing is, I had double vision and I had to get MRIs and CAT scans and fucking had to do vision therapy and had to go through all kinds of, for a lot of vision therapy, by the way, and a lot of things that took better part of 2 years to overcome. And it became like so important, such a big part of my life. And we captured so much of it on film that I decided in the end to go ahead and expose that vulnerability, knowing it wasn't going to be the best for my image. Right? And we've talked about image before. Now, for a lot of people, RVD is just an image. So for them, they think they could do me better. If he just wouldn't have had any damn weed on him when he was the champion, or someone said if he just could wait till he got to the hotel to smoke. I wasn't smoking, idiot. Anyway, I don't want to lose you. A lot of people, think, man, if I had, RVD's talent, what I could do with it. And that's cool, live vicariously through us, and that's awesome. But in reality, we all have choices, and we all make different choices, and it's always based on our own values. And so for my image, I could have left all the concussion footage on the floor, and I could have not talked about it, and I could have went with the original plan on the documentary, trying to showcase something else entirely, a different talent. But even though I knew that some fans were going to always be thinking about what they learn and seeing me more vulnerable, I'm not Superman. I chose to go with option B, even though I really wanted an option C, some titties in the strip club. So we put it out, and I learned right away from people. They were telling me that it helped them. And they were saying, seeing you go through your struggles and overcoming them helped me with my problems. And I wasn't expecting that. I was hoping that it could help some people, but the feedback that I got was unexpected. And so in the end, even though people just last week saw a clip of Headstrong that Joe put on there, and a bunch of them wrote, RVD, it's sad to see, man, but I hope you get better, or or hey, you shouldn't be wrestling anyway. What? Anyway, they thought it was fresh news, because I guess we're that much out of touch, because I had my head side shaved and had the 2017 look on. But anyway, even though I'm going to be seen in this vulnerable, unpreferred light, I made the choice, and I don't regret the choice. It was my choice to make. We all have choices, and it's helped a lot of people. It was very much like in 97, 98, when I did the High Times magazine interview, and Tracy Smothers said, hey man, you're going to put a target on your back, man. I was like, dude, it's just fucking marijuana. People need to learn it's not that dangerous drug that we're taught anymore. And he said, no man, they're going to be checking you at the airport everywhere. Just do your own thing, and just do it in the dark. You know what I mean? Just kayfabe. So it was similar, because I made the choice. Although a lot of people are just going to associate me with marijuana for the rest of my life. And some people are so stupid. Well, sorry, stupid people. I don't want to start insulting you. Some of the basic thinkers will forever, for the rest of their lives, see me as a stoner who's just blazed all the time and not see past that, because that's what marijuana means to them. I chose to be open about it, use my image, my spotlight to draw attention to something that I cared about. And here we are now in 2023, looking at most of the country, very little doesn't have a legalized marijuana program. But regardless of that, I know I helped a lot of people that use cannabis and it's helped them, and they wouldn't have used it without hearing me talk about it. That's the feedback that I get, that's similar to talking about the concussions. See, I made that choice. A lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people would have said, hey, he just needs to shut up about his weed. He'd be the world champion still today. You would maybe make that choice, but I made a different choice. And we always have choices. When we were making editing choices on Headstrong, it took a long time. Me and Joe went back and forth. We didn't agree on everything real smoothly, and we both compromised to get it done. But one of the things that we would often run into is I would always tell Joe, never underestimate how stupid people are. And you say, I don't think you need to hit him on the head with it. No, you do. You need to hit him on the head with it, with a poster, with bold text, says exactly what you want them to get out of it, or they're not going to get it. One time we were referring to the news at the end of Headstrong that I get that I don't have CTE. I actually got it from 3 different doctors, but I think 2 of them are on film. And we have one doctor looking at the MRIs and telling me there's no CTA, there's no abnormalities. This is good news. And I was telling Joe, we need to put it in text as well. No, he's like, no, come on, man. Let's move past that, because we've been working on it way past the deadline. I was like, they're not going to get it, dude. You need to put that. We need to have it. And I stood strong on it. We need to put the text, the dialogue of what they're saying when they say that I don't have CTE, or everyone's going to miss it. And I think I mentioned it at the end too when I'm doing the wrap up. Doctor said I don't have CTE, so that's good. Still, with all of that, people miss it. I hear from people all the time, they think I have CTE. Anyway, never underestimate how stupid basic thinkers can be. But what I'm talking about here is choices. And I want to tell you, there's always choices. You may not like the choices that you have, but don't let people make you feel like there's no choice. And here's what basic thinkers will do. I'm going to give you a tool to use right here. Something to look for. This is what basic thinkers will try to get over on you with, and they will try to sound like they're smart. And really, it's just because they would have made a different choice than you, right? Have you ever heard this? Did you have to call him that? Hey, Greg, you're stinky. Oh, did you have to call him that? No. What made you think I had to do that? Why are you taking my choices away? I chose to call him that. And now you're telling me that you wouldn't have chose to call him that? Okay, but why do you got to say it like that? Like, because you're a basic thinker and because they think that they're smarter than you. Did you have to put that TV show on right now? No, nobody was forcing me to. Nobody had a gun to my head and said to put that on. Are you really asking me that? What made you think that I felt like I had to do that? You know, throw that right back onto those motherfuckers when they hit you with that shit. Because it don't make sense when you think about what they're really saying. They're trying to limit you and make you feel stupid just because they would have chosen something else. You know, did we have to come here tonight? We were not forced to. No, I chose to. I mean, you know, that. Why not just say you would have rather have gone somewhere else or something? Basic thinkers trying to take your choice away. And you know what? You always have a choice. Remember that. You may not like all your choices, but think about what your choices are. We kind of talked about this a little bit before when we talked about options. You always have options. Guess what? Same shit. So anyway, do you have to use that kind of language? Claro que no. Yo puedo hablar español. I hope you get the point. That's what I want to talk about. And try to make it a good choice. And Happy New Year, everybody.
It's a good one, Rob. It's a good one. Way to close out the year right here is that one. So, yes, we all have choices. And you guys are making the choice of partying down on New Year's Eve. Celebrate Katie's birthday. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah. Better get my mind going on that. That's coming up quick.
Yep. You try not to spill some champagne, though.
Right. I'll try my best.
Try not to.
No guarantees. All right. Thanks, Dom.
All right, guys. It's been a good episode.
Chris. Thanks, Joseph, Clarke, Butafuka.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining in. Everybody that chimed in with the super chats. We had Smiley, we had BBDC, Greg, and Smiley again. Plus everybody else that joined in. My buddy Paul Bullers.
It's Stinky. We had Stinky.
We had Stinky here. We had.
You have to call him that.
I didn't have to. No.
Just listen for that. Try to be aware when someone asks you that question. Try to be aware and be like, aha.
I'll spin it back around.
I'm above that. Rise above. Not saying I would want you to rise above. I do
exactly.
Too.
Rise above the hate.
Yes.
Hey, thank you, YouTube Chris. He did a great job here for his first time producing the show. So it's been a good time. So
right on, man. See you next week.
See you next week, guys, here on One of a Kind with RVD.
I got some girls to tend to.
Oh, yeah.